Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time. Today, we confront one of the most persistent crises in Nigeria's education sector, the endless circle of ASUU strikes. Once again, the Academic Staff Union of Universities has issued a fresh strike threat, citing unfulfilled promises from the federal government. And as history has shown, whenever lecturers down tools, it is students and parents who bear the heaviest burden. Disrupted calendars, delayed graduations, wasted resources, and shattered dreams. The big question is this: what future awaits Nigeria's tertiary education if this cycle continues? What role should students, governments, and stakeholders play in breaking this pattern once and for all? And this is where I welcome you to Politics Uncensored, where we cut through the spin and get straight to the truth. We start to tackle this conversation raw and unfiltered. Our goal is to provide a platform for open and honest discussions where experts and everyday citizens like yourself can share your perspectives and insights. It's of course your favorite show, and I'm your host, Okikiola Taiwo Jalopon. You can call me the polyhumanitarian, and I'm here to make political discussions accessible for all. I have two expert guests with me who will be joining me very soon, so please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. You can also head on to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Hit that subscribe button, like, share the link, and invite your friends and family to join the phone right now. You can also call us on 070-2500-7749 and 070-1424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. We'll go on a break right now, and of course we'll return, taking our top stories in the political space, making headlines, and introducing our guests. So do not go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and today we are discussing ASUU strikes, and we're asking what's the future for Nigerians' tertiary institution. Well, joining me to unpack these issues are two voices deeply connected to the struggle. We have Eniola Orowole, the National Public Relations Officer of the National Association of the Nigerian Students, NANS, and we have Tobiloba Oluwabitan, a fourth-year law student who represents the lived reality of millions of Nigerian undergraduates. Welcome to the program. Do I have you here? Do I have Toby and
Yes,
Orowole
good
here?
afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon. I am Tobiloba Oluwabitan, a fourth-year law student in
Okay, wonderful. So, Toby, let me quickly start from you before I go into asking you what your opinion is about political brief that's currently making the headlines. What exactly is going on in your tertiary institution, and how has this ASUU strike affected you?
Well, I would say, to be accurate as regards my reality so far, I started uni 2023 to be precise, and so far so good. I haven't encountered any strike actually so far. Most times they reached a negotiation, a compromise over and over again. But before 2023, we knew what the constant has been: long strike, education being handled in frustrations and delays. But for me, I would say I've been quite lucky to some extent. I haven't encountered any personal strike myself from 2023 till now. So this is coming as a new development. The looming strike that will come to be, it's new, and it borders on field promises as well as usual. But for me, to be fair, to be accurate, I won't say I have been a victim of any strike particularly, but I'm very well aware of such things.
It's quite sad that when we talk about people who have experienced strike or not, for those who haven't, we would count ourselves lucky, like if we're going to put it in the word. And that shouldn't be the reality of the educational sector. The educational sector should not look like some people could run out of luck, or some people are lucky to experience it. You should go through your prescribed number of years as put together. That's how it should be. But you see, when we have cases like this where we're talking about lucky, we're talking about other people who have experienced this thing and are currently stuck. Just last week, I was speaking to some graduates who were supposed to sign out, I think on Friday last week, and they were talking about them saying that sign out wasn't going to happen because the school had cancelled it. There were no lecturers, the exam might not take place, and all of these things. And it makes it quite sad that the educational sector is still suffering for what it shouldn't be. We are in 2025, and education has been brought to life, but we're still experiencing cases of strikes. And I saw on one blog post where one of them were saying that this is going to be the mother of all strikes, and that is a threat that I don't know how that is going to be handled. I don't know what the federal government is doing right now. And that's why we're having this conversation. And I'm hoping that Orole will be able to join soon enough to give us maybe deep insights on what's happening. And this same thing is happening because in UNIZIC right now, ASUU has blocked the expressway and demands end to poverty salary. So let me ask you again, Oluwabitan, what would you suggest, the federal government should do in terms of these conversations around whether strikes should exist or shouldn't exist, and what effect it really has on the educational sector?
What do I think the government should do going on, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This morning, I read the Punch reports on pending strike and how it was couched as it's where the student action are looking towards a sort of national shutdowns of major airports, major roads and all that. I mean, those are symptoms of a failed government, failed governance, understanding as to what the government should do. I think it's simple and plain. The government should leave room for discussion, leave room for. There was a Dr. Yahali's report. I've not read it. To get the exact details of what the reports are being, what the report demands of. But yeah, for such report, the government can revisit it, look into the demands of this, of ASUUs, and see what timeline can be set, hedged in place to ensure that they meet up with most of those proposals. If there are not proposals that can be realistically met immediately, the government should communicate a precise timeline. Now, these people are operating from a frustrated end because it's a consistent happening in Nigeria. Governments giving promises, governments telling them to create a board, create a committee, to set up a proposal to amend a problem, to amend the issue. And particularly with ASUU, particularly with the education sector, it's an ever persistent happening. Go make this report, bring this proposal, let's see what we'll do about it. For now, what should the government do? Simple, it's basic. Let there be room for negotiation, let there be room for discussion. There's a report that has been made back since October 2024. A committee was set up. Let's bring back the report on the table. Let all stakeholders consider the report. How would you implement it? I'm not just saying you want to implement it. Let there be talks around university autonomy, talks around improved welfare package for lecturers and all that. Let there be a precise timeline as to when this will be implemented. Let there be a precise direction laid out, communicated to these people who are major stakeholders, how the government will achieve this.
Thank you very much.
So if those thoughts are precisely laid out, yeah.
Please continue.
Okay, yeah. So I'm saying if there are things that are precisely laid out for the stakeholders, the ASUUs, the lecturer, the SANO, if they have a precise communication as to timeline of executing what's contained in proposals, directive for executing these thoughts, that should in a way make them come around and see how they can reach a compromise that would work both for the government and both for the students. Because at this end right now, any call for strike is fair, any call for strike is reasonable. We can't keep, breeding and operating in this same educational style and way we've been going for a long while. So the major bodies in the government to be intentional with how they communicate, with what they look to implement, and plans for implementing whatever improvement in lecturer welfare, development in university infrastructures, and all that. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tobiloba. So we'll go on a short break and, of course, return, still discussing this conversation about ASUU strike. And to be honest, I'm as good as tired, fed up, and looking for desperate solutions. So let's go on a break. We'll return shortly. Do not go anywhere.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back to the show. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and we have Toby back here. Toby, do I still have you here?
Yes, Vera, I am.
Wonderful.
Still around.
So we
Can
now
you hear
know.
me? Yeah.
Yes, of course, I can hear you. We now know that whether or not the strike is going to happen, there's always what's currently sitting on a time bomb, and 1 minute there's good negotiation. Strike goes off. The next minute we're hearing that negotiation did not work out, and the strike starts again. Now this has made many parents, guardians, to start looking for alternatives abroad or in private universities. So many times we hear the government, we hear motivational speakers, we hear all these people, stay in your country, do this. I'm very pro-Nigerian. I've never really encouraged or discouraged anyone to jackpot or travel abroad for alternatives. But it almost seems like every single time the educational system is getting worse, year after year, government after government. So this has made many people start to look for alternatives abroad, no matter the amount, or even in private universities. So do you think that the Nigerian public university are starting to lose credibility? Because this is where everything basic should start from, but we're starting to lose the value. So in your own opinion, do you think that Nigerian public universities are starting to lose their credibility, or it's just a strict waste of time?
I would say the question should be, when has Nigerian university had credibility? I mean, what credibility do they have at present moment? I mean, in the last 10, 15 years, I mean, from the early 90s down to this time, what credibility particularly can you attach to the Nigerian university in terms of the education they provide the people? Yeah, to be fair, I won't go on an onslaught of bashing what we've had in Nigerian public university, because I also am a student. I'm going to be a product of the public university. I've encountered good lecturers, good teachings from time to time. But what happens maybe to be the credibility of Nigerian university? We do not have a credibility so far so good. And that's why I see most people adopt private university. People can afford to make out of the country. Their parents fund them. They get to travel out. So the question should then be, what credibility actually do we have? Not, are we losing credibility? Infrastructure, well, for people who are studying courses in science-based courses, I could remember very back then in Lautech, my sister once stood at Lautech before she pivoted to a private uni. Microbiology students would be sharing maybe a microscope, 300 students crowded around a microscope. What sort of microbiologists do you expect to produce through that process? You would go to some public uni, law students will be credited in a class, probably 200, 300 in a class, most times without projectors, most times without, voice addressing system to capture the whole class, to get the whole class fully engaged. What sort of lawyers do you? Majorly of what I can see is my brilliance, my excellence are due to personal endeavors I am taking up in internship and all that. These lecturers are not being so properly taken care of in their welfare for them to be so. It's a business that grudge. So on hand of infrastructures, there is no credibility. People studying, medical students in most medical schools are frustrated. There has been some happenings whereby we see people paying some dental schools, some medical schools, their fee in order for them to meet up with the quota system that would allow them produce good doctors, produce qualified dentists. I mean,
Absolutely.
a private personal politician is coming to aid of those students for them to be able to, I mean, get their professional fit and all that. So there's not much credibility on ground. We've lost credibility. The question now should be, how can we bring back credibility? How can we restore credibility? What credibility can we envision and realistically arrive at to the Nigerian educational system?
Thank you very much, Tobiloba. And I hope that...
Yes, so
Can you hear me?
yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, so
Yes, very well, I can.
I wanted to quickly chip in something before I allow you continue. I can agree with you that our educational system has completely lost its credibility. And I can say that from of primary school to secondary school to university, I've seen a huge change. If I'm going to give credibility to anything, it might be the few lecturers, teachers who have so passionately decided that they're going to impact regardless of the infrastructural structure or development that is happening in whatever institution. But in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of plan for education, I can say very much that we are at zero or at zero level. I remember very well that I went into a school in one of the vulnerable areas in Lagos, and I found out that they had nothing. The public school, there was no ceiling. It was empty. The ones who managed to have roofs were as good as bad. The chairs, the tables, nothing was working. And we're talking about the basic, they call it the basic education. So if basic education cannot even look basic and maybe proper, how are we expecting that our tertiary education should even look proper in any way? And I remember very well also in 100 level, I studied chemistry in school, and I got into the institution, and we had a particular thing called titration happen. It's quite funny because I remember very well that in the book that they gave us, we were supposed to get red as the color after titration, but we got blue from all of the chemicals that they gave us at the lab. And the lab scientist just said, just put it, assume. In your mind, just imagine that the color in the book is what you got. And it's quite sad to see. It was over time as I read into the course, I started to realize that it could be exposure that must have changed the color. It could be anything that must have changed the color of, of the result. But these lab scientists did not know. And it just assumed that he couldn't go through the process of telling us otherwise. And that's how it went on. So imagine how many people have experienced these bad results, these plastered idea that you're going through sciences. I can see very much that when Nigerians sort of go abroad, that's when they're like, Nigeria is the best. They took us to tough educational system. They took us to this. But I'm not sure it's the institution. I'm very certain that it's the people who have, regardless of what the educational system has given them, have decided that they're going to develop either way. And they have decided that they're going to expose their minds to learn and also impact. So I would agree with you that credibility is not there. But you mentioned something, and you said our question should now be, how can we start to get credibility back for Nigeria? How can we start to put it back into these major parts of our existence, which is the educational system? And I would like to hear what you have to say, then I'll give in my own opinion here. Do I still have Toby here?
I am very well with you.
Of course. Thank you. Okay. So please answer.
Okay, yes. Speaking of how can we bring ourselves back to arrive at credibility with respect to our universities, public universities, it starts from, well, I do not want to get overly simplistic or by being repetitive, but it starts from, let's go back to simple things like welfares of the lecturers, what they get in payments, what they get in bonuses. I mean, simple things like sometimes some of these lecturers are not having what you can imagine as a very good best officer should be. I believe it's one of a profile as a doctor, a professor, someone who have studied, read such scholarly height. Their welfare. When the teachers are ready, prepared, they are being properly tended to, it reflects on the way they attend to the students. More often than not, it affects the way they take after their job. It affects their level of commitment. It affects, and even by that, the government itself can now seriously be involved and say, we can go hard on any field institution, any lecturer is not delivering properly on their job. I mean, the ASUU can itself have the audacity to say, yeah, should a lecturer here, we can now come in by this way. I mean, then we can now say, it's wrong for a lecturer to sell handouts that is not recommended by the university regulation to make some extra money. First of all, let there be incentives as to, and that would come from their welfare. Let's go back to drum. I mean, there's a committee set up far back as October 2024, which is a committee set up to meet again for promises that has been on the table since far back as 2009.
Yes.
And so right now we are still looking to go to a strike based on that. And it's been the same crime, welfare, infrastructure. So these things are, so I would usually say Nigerian politicians know what they are doing. They know what to do. Most times we do not need so much technical sitting down and speaking with them again to do what they need to do. But I feel like most of the problem is they do not see the value in doing what they need to do. They do not see the value in doing it. Now, Nigeria is such a nation whereby we are at a stage whereby we cannot afford to have, in the next 10, 20 years, so many youths coming from the university who should get properly educated but are not properly educated. It reflects in our political decision, in our political choices, the sort of society we have. And these are stuff that can be properly tended to and corrected by good education. But when the education available, the people who are at the helm of it are not being properly taken care of. For my school right now, I don't know if it's something right to mention on here. Most times, some lecturers do not come by to teach to class until very towards the end of the examination. Then they just come by, drop some materials for you to crash read. Then I myself cram. I go pop back in the exam. Maybe
I think
I'm a good
almost
student.
everyone must have experienced that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And it makes it quite sad. It's quite sad. It's not calling out these lecturers or anything, but we all have to get to the root of the problem. And that's why we have sort of these conversations. If you're coming towards the end, towards the start of an exam, to say you want to teach. I remember a lecturer would say "la crème la pour." That's what he tells us, in school, and that's what happens. And I like that you have said that it reflects our political choices, our political decisions, our political experience, and even knowledge in that sense. So. It is quite sad, and this is why we need to start addressing beyond just talking about ASUU strike or lecturers not being properly paid or not infrastructure not existing. Is also the approach and the manner in which some of these lecturers also dish out information and education to us. So let's go on a short break. Of course, we'll return with our other guests and still have to be over here. So do not go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to the show. So if you want to call us, our phone lines are still open to you. You can call us on 070-2500-7749 and 070-14242420. I have Eniola Orowole here, who is the NANS National PRO. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. So,
I'm sorry, I'm in school, so the network is very bad here. So I have to just bundle up myself and come on live.
Thank you very much for joining the show. We have Tobiloba here, who has been sharing his personal experience as a student, and it's very nice to have somebody from NANS also give us their perspective about ASUU strike. So ASUU has once again threatened to go on strike. So I want to ask you, from NANS perspective, how do you view this recurring battle between ASUU and the federal government over and over again?
Well, I don't want you to refer it as a threat because it is happening right now in Adekunle Ajasin University at Bakupo. I'm here now, I'm a master's degree student here, and the lecturers just went on strike this morning. HOD told me that he's on strike, although he attended to me, but the fact and the reality is that the government is not treating the lecturers very well. That is the fact. Either you're an APC, either you're an PDP, I don't know. But the fact is that those lecturers are suffering. All the lecturers I encounter in this school have been complaining. Their subvention has not been sent. They have not received the August salary. They have not received July salary too. You can imagine what the hardship is these people are going through. So it is not a threat. It is happening already. So the government are not treating them well. The government is supposed to implement the 2009 federal government and ASUU agreement. The recommendation of Yayale Ahmed report in February has not been implemented. Non-payment, they have not paid their promotion arrears. The UTAS, IPPIS issue is still there. That has not been addressed. So it is very unfortunate. So we, the National Association of the Students, stand under the leadership of Atiku Abubakar, who say no to the mistreatment and the maltreatment meted out to these innocent doctors, professors, and assistant lecturers. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Eniola. I would like to state that the platform is neither a PDP or APC platform. This platform represents all Nigerians, and that is why we have it called Politics Uncensored, where we can have honest conversations about strictly Nigerian issues. So ASUU strike is a very big Nigerian issue, and that's why we're talking about it right now. And you have mentioned that the strike has started, and even we saw on the Punch newspaper where even UNIZIK has gone on strike demanding for welfareism and better pay for the lecturers. Now, these would always fall back on the students. The lecturers might be fighting for their right. The federal government might have their own reasons, but the students always are the ones who bear this brunt the most. So can you explain how far this strike will go and how you have prepared to help students manage, even beyond the strike, like you guys are allowed to go on strike.
Can you say that again?
So I'm saying, ASUU, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I said, I understand that lecturers, ASUU, the NANS are advocates for welfare, proper welfare of these lecturers. But now the students are always at the ones bearing the brunt of most of these issues. So how prepared is the lecturers or ASUU ready to help these students, still get the best of their education, even while fighting for their own welfareism?
If I can hear you very well, you said how prepared is the federal government and ASUU, right?
I'm asking particularly about the lecturers who have joined the ASUU strike. Can Eniola hear me?
You know, yes.
Please go ahead.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, the 90%.
It's quite sad that Eniola's network is really bad and we can barely hear him from his end. But Tobiloba, you have heard what Eniola has said, and he has mentioned that this strike has already started and it's spreading across states and universities in Nigeria. So you are in your 4th year. How do you think I believe that the 4th year is one of the most critical years of every student's life. While some go 7 years course, some go 4 years course, the majority of the courses generally in the Nigerian universities are a maximum of 4 years or a minimum of 4 years. So how do you think that this is going to affect you?
The effect on student, myself and every other student generally, and basically is delay. I mean, we need not speak in technical terms. It's just simply there'll be a delay in the student progress. Because the interesting about Nigerian is that we have a bad educational system, but it's still a society that places a lot of emphasis on certificates you have at hand. And for people studying professional courses, whether we like it, I want to be a lawyer, I want to practice as a lawyer. I'm a law student. It's a 5-year course for a law student. I want to be a lawyer. I have no other means than to ensure that I graduate. And I will graduate at whatever year the university cross to allow me any certificate to go on. People studying medicine, people studying dentistry, people studying architecture, to whatever height, length the university cross to, that's when they would leave. I mean, probably students who are looking forward to be an on-head presenter can rack up many certificates outside school wall and still be many things like, but for professional courses particularly, we have no choice but to wait still and. So generally it's a delay on my vision, delay on the time I plan to see OER. By the time I get done, I should go to law school, I should get to serve. I mean, maybe in the space of 1, 2, 3, 5 years, I should find myself in a good law firm, start earning very well, settle down, give back and impact and return to the society. It's crippled, it's delayed. So we keep revising our vision, we keep revising our plans within what the Nigerian university and the Nigerian allows us. I can't do nothing as a law student without a degree, without getting a pass into the law school. And for many people as well. So the delay would mean
basically life delayed.
Yeah, so if at all several students can say, okay, let's take up side hustles during the holiday. What most people can take up at best are jobs, profession that does not demand for them their degrees and certificate. Though it's quite a good time right now. We can take up many jobs, many gigs, side gigs, High write, you can write, you can be a social media. What do this right now? I mean, be an influencer on social media, all sorts of things you can take to make money. I mean, but there will never be that satisfaction of you arriving quite early on at your vision, at what you really desire. So in simple terms, there will be delay, there will be frustration because for every strike, now for me, academically is about momentum. For every strike, there comes a relaxation, there comes an hindrance.
Yeah.
It affects several students' grades. So that's why I say it's an irony. Nigerian places a lot of emphasis on grades. The society demands it. Wherever I want to work, wants to see my CGPA.
And even demands that you graduate early. You see where they say they're looking for somebody of 23 years with 7 years experience in a certain job or the other professionally. But the educational system will delay you for that same 7 years. And you probably 30, 35 by that time. Yeah. And it's giving you are frustrated. You are angry with the government. You're angry with yourself. You're angry with the dream. And everything becomes put to pause. And I can't relate, even as much as I graduated a long time ago. I'm still concerned because I run a free school and we run according to the government calendar. But this is even a basic education. Now we sponsor some of these students who have come to our aid into university. So let's assume I had planned in my head that I'm going to pay for a 4-year course, and then strike takes this person takes this person in life far back to 2 years distant from that time. Of course, I, as the donor, is frustrated at what is happening. The person who has managed to get a hang of a dream is also frustrated. So if I will ask you now, if you had just a few minutes or 1 minute with the president, maybe as a leader, or maybe if you're even going to be talking directly to Eniola right now, who is back on the show, what would be your direct message to them?
My direct message will simply go doors. It's not that they do not know what to do. I will keep saying it's that, I mean, for the Nigerian government, the politicians, they know what to do. They know the right thing. If they are satisfied, at least we'll find them sending their students down to the same public university behind. Definitely, they know something's at stake. They know their kids might not get the best. So that's why we rarely see them bring their children down to school in the same system and infrastructure. So it's not about telling them what they need to do. It's an issue on a 2009 agreement. I probably I'm still maybe in some kindergarten way back then. I mean, so they know what to do. I would just speak to them on the value behind what they need to do. I feel like they do not see the value, or probably they've turned a blind eye to it, because maybe being at the top echelon of governance can zoom you out of reality. You're always in your escalates, you're always in your what do they call those long vehicles when the president is moving on? I mean, you're always there, so you are shut out from the reality of the Nigerian student, and your students are not your children are not schooling as we are schooling. So probably you will not get feedback from them and say, oh, daddy, my lecturer came to class today and told me A is for God, or my lecturer showed a handout to me. So you might probably not be in tune with that reality. So we need to speak them to see the value of this.
Thank you, Nula. And thank you, Tobiloba. And that's so funny, because it was almost like we all went to the same tertiary institution. I also know that a very funny maths lecturer will tell me that A is for God. Whatever he gives you, you should be praising. Yeah. You should be praising him for it. And then F is for the rest of you. Decide not to either pay him or be a part of his clique, which is very sad. So we are wrapping up the show, but I really want to hear from Eniola here. Eniola, we are now at the feet of ASUU, and we are, as students, even Tobiloba here has mentioned how frustrated he would become if this strike continues. So what reforms are you, or policies are you looking at advocating for? And beyond reforms for the federal government and, ASUU generally, can we start to see education as an essential, where strikes should be limited and, grievances should be settled differently, other than interrupting the lives of many Nigerian youths who have pictured their dreams and their destiny to a certain, or fixed them to a certain year, and now is, victims of the Nigerian educational system? Can Eniola hear me? Okay, I think that we have lost him again.
Hello?
Yes, Eniola, we can hear you now. Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I said, well, I will advise Nigerian lecturers to desist from using the instrument of strike to battle the federal government, because it's affecting the students directly, and it's prolonging and elongating their years in school. So as students are supposed to graduate within 4 years to be set. My own is 7 years actually when I graduated, but this actions of strike is outdated, is obsolete. So there should be more robust negotiation and engagement with the government. And most importantly, the government should honor those agreements that are reached previously. The 209 agreement that I've said, the ILA report in February, they should implement all this strike back and forth is unnecessary. So up every year. We are tired of it. Well, we engage the federal government the more. The National Association of Nigerian Students, we engage them the more. We are having a meeting with them on Friday. My appeal is for the lecturers to look for an alternative, because it's like two elephant fighting that the grass are suffering. The students are suffering. Absolutely. All this back and forth. Absolutely. It's very, 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 very despicable and unnecessary. So we will address.
It's quite sad that Eniola's network is not allowing us get the best of him.
And for the stress of Nigeria in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope that people who are watching have been able to pick one or two things from you. You have mentioned that you are appealing to the lecturers to look for other alternatives rather than, strike. And then you're also asking the government to look into the report of 2009. And, Tobiloba also mentioned the committee that was set up in 2024. These welfare for lecturers, for teachers in general, is very important. And you have also mentioned that the government should honor the meetings and the negotiations in that sense where they always have. And I hope to have you again. Since you say you're going to be having the meeting with the government on Friday, we hope to have you, by next week, giving us an update on what has been said. But looking 5 years ahead, if as we wrap the conversation, what is your hope and your fear for the Nigerian tertiary education if things don't change now? If Tobiloba is there, please, just in 1 minute, answer the question.
What is my fear for the Nigerian educational system should be processed in this way? Yeah. Okay, my fear is the fear of implication of these, particularly on the Nigerian society. I mean, for me, majorly, that's my fear. That's my fear. When we keep producing graduates, so when we keep producing graduates in frustration, in delay, people are not so well abreast of what they are studying. It reflects on their political choices, the lifestyle they live in society, how they themselves happen to be law-abiding.
Thank you very much.
So when we have a society with masses of people who are not so knowledgeable due to the faulty process they've gone through, it tells on the government themselves as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Tobiloba. Well, as we have heard today, the battle over ASUU strikes, it's not just about unpaid salaries or unimplemented agreements or even lecturers, behavior towards students. It's about the soul of our Nigerian tertiary education. Students like Tobiloba represent a generation caught in the crossfire, while Nance, represented by Eniola, is trying to make the voice of students impossible to ignore. But the truth remains, no nation can rise above the quality of its education. So Nigeria must find the courage to break this cycle, invest in its universities, and this is straight to the president's table. Invest in his universities and honor its commitments. Governors, the president, people who are at rest of these educational systems should start looking at, a investing strictly in our university and honor its commitment. Anything less of that is definitely betrayal of the future. I am the polyhumanitarian, and this has been Politics Uncensored. Let's keep the conversation going, because education is too important to be left hanging on the edge of another strike. Until next time, stay engaged and stay informed. Before I go, do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. I'll see you again on Friday. Goodbye.